My oh my, it's getting crowded atop the AFC. We knew about the Broncos, we knew about the Patriots, but here come the Jaguars.
Oh, and Detroit and Pittsburgh. Game didn't end the way you thought it would, but Pittsburgh's looking pretty, and Detroit is scrambling for answers.
All the latest playoff scenarios after the dust settles in Week 16 on Sunday Scaries with Bucks McGee.
Week 16, here we are, folks. Just another week of who knows, man. It's just woo! Some good games, some head-scratching situations, but that's why we love the NFL. You know? That's what
There's
I
a lot
got.
of heads. Yeah, there's a lot of head scratchers, and I was this close to wearing the tinfoil hat, but some games didn't go the way they necessarily should have according to the script. So I don't. You're spared. You're spared for one more week of the tinfoil hat coming back.
I don't know. The way this Ravens game is going, you very well could end up putting it on by mid-third quarter and then just have to
Yeah,
take a picture and post it. But you never know. But yeah, some interesting games, some good stuff, some desperate teams, some insanity.
yeah, and let's get right into it with this Patriots Ravens game. And this started off, and I'm like, here we go. This was, I almost would have just showed the tinfoil hat just because this game starts off, and the Ravens go right down the field. Start giving the ball to Derrick Henry again, miraculously, the best kept secret in the league. Derrick Henry never thought a Pro Bowl running back could be such a thing. Zay Flowers all of a sudden looks like a productive NFL player again. Oh, and our old friend Marlon Humphrey suddenly looks like a shutdown corner taking interceptions off the blades of grass.
Yeah, for one series they looked like the Ravens of old, and then all of a sudden reality kind of hits, and now it's the usual. It's the usual Ravens we've got going on here. Um, Lamar's a little banged up. Don't know what's going on with that right now, but it's a tight game, and the Patriots look rather comfortable in this situation. It seems like they're just going to go about their business. I don't know. I think the Patriots are going to pull this out, and I think if the Ravens lose this, then there's got to be some questions going forward with this team.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess you could chalk up Lamar's struggles this season to the fact that if he's been playing hurt this entire time, because it certainly didn't look like anything really devastating, and here he is questionable to return.
I think it's one of those things where it gets to the point now where Lamar for so many years does the escape act, moves around, has eluded hits and eluded a lot of big hits in his career. Now I think it's starting to slowly creep up with him, and now you've got to really kind of figure out how to handle him going forward. Is he gonna be a pocket passer, or is you're gonna let him continue to scramble and try to pull magic? But sooner or later it catches up. Look at Patrick Mahomes out for the remainder of the year, and who knows how long going into next season. Time is undefeated. So now it's Snoop Hundley, it looks like, and we're gonna see what this offense is gonna do. But if they can't stop Drake May, it's going to be a long night.
Well, and I also thought that like it could have been a situation where Lamar really could have taken advantage of not being able to run around all the time because he can pass. He does have a cannon. He could throw a very accurate deep ball. I thought that this would have been a season that if he can't run anymore, if Father Time does catch up to his body, this would be an opportunity for him to kind of turn things around and evolve his game. But we haven't really seen that on the field.
You know what? If he was on Kansas City, I'd say, yeah, then let it rip, because those guys would just be, playground football at that point. And those receivers kind of fit that mold. Here, yeah, you have Zay Flowers, but that's about it. I don't see, Mark Andrews running around, breaking free, doing funky things, running routes. And it's Lamar runs around, does his thing, always looking to pass, which I can respect. And, somehow is able to, complete something here or there. But now this team really, I don't think it fits that mold. And you've got Derrick Henry, you used him the first drive, and then after that, it's like, but it's been like that all season, up and down. So I don't know if he needs another weapon in the wide receiver room.
Mm-hmm.
Because Isaiah Likely isn't consistent at all. He has that one touchdown that gets called back every game. And, Mark Andrews is getting up there in years. So this team, they really kind of, I don't know if they've got to change things up. I figured last year and this year was their window, but they're struggling right now.
Yeah. And on the flip side of this with the Patriots, this almost could set it up like what's going on with them. I mean, you could kind of argue that, okay, they're finally playing half decent teams, so maybe the reality's setting in. But when you talk about the Bills and you can't trust them, and you talk about these Ravens who are, we put them in the fraudulent penthouse for the entire season at this point. These are maybe they're better competition than the Patriots have been playing, but they're still not great competition. So to see the Patriots kind of struggling a little bit more of late is a bit surprising.
You know what? But the thing is that the Patriots don't play themselves out of games. They're well coached and they stick around. They're there through 4 quarters. And let's be honest, the way this season has gone, it seems like every except for 1 or 2 teams possibly, there always seems to be a new team that's the new flavor of the month. So there really isn't, so it's kind of like New England is right in the mix. It's like whoever's going to get hot. Like right now, the Rams are starting to deal with a little bit of injury issue and such like that. Now, let's say they start to fall apart. Okay, so I guess Seattle or the Bears become your flavor over in the NFC. The AFC is, right now it's a 2-horse race. But Denver got walloped this week, and New England's in a dogfight. So then who steps up? It's going to be whoever's hot in the next couple weeks, and that team, regardless if they're a wild card or a division winner, may ride that to the Super Bowl.
Just what the NFL wants, a Week 18 full of relevant games.
It's all about the parity. For 20 plus years, people were crying about it because a certain team was sitting there, running ramp shot through the league. Now there's parity, and people are like, oh man, blah blah blah. Oh, there's this, there's that. This is what you wanted. This is what you got.
Ironically, the same parity given the fact that we've had the Chiefs of the last several years as well.
Exactly, and now that's down the crapper. But there you go. Now it's who right now. Who knows? In February, Caleb Williams could be your Super Bowl MVP.
Imagine. So a team who's been the flavor of the month for the last few years, it's looking like some of those flavors have gone sour for the Detroit Lions.
Wow.
Are they penthouse worthy? Or is this kind of absolvable?
No. Open the door. Give them a room. It's time. It's time. I watched that game, and I just for literally 3.5 quarters, Pittsburgh just mollywopped them. It was like Aaron Rodgers looked good. I have to give respect to the Steelers. Their defense came to play. I think their defense plays better without TJ Watt. I'm gonna be honest with you. For some reason, this defense looks a little better. But I have to give them credit. That defense was able to handle Detroit. The offense was able to put points on the board. They were able to run the ball. They were throwing all over the place. So they were a complete team today. So Detroit decides to show up the last 5 or 6 minutes of the fourth quarter, and unfortunately can't finish the job.
And I know you probably don't want to give credit to this, but we should pay note that it is the 19th straight season of a non-losing record for one Mr. Mike Tomlin.
Yes, the greatest 9-8 mediocre coach of all time. And what was funny is he's walking off the field. I don't know if you saw it. He had Aaron Rodgers and Craig Hayward on his other side, and he's like, "Yeah, like pumping his chest." I'm like, "Yeah," I'm like, "Calm it down, buddy. Win a couple playoff games, and then we can do this whole little dance act you got going." But you got to give him credit, I think some people who have, even though the Ravens are, supposed to win this division, I don't know. I think now if they lose tonight, I think we have to give the Steelers their due.
Yes. And as they say in the industry, we've vamped for enough time. Let's talk about the issue that I think will be the biggest talking point going into Monday, and that is the end of this Lions and Steelers game. I watched this being pretty upset, ready to break out the tinfoil hat. That the refs basically were giving the Lions every opportunity to get down the field. There was the catch, which in my eyes, that's a catch. Only in today's NFL would that pass over the middle be reviewed and potentially overturned. But then there was the pass interference where, yes, the guy goes up over the top, but by the time he does anything illegal, the ball's already out of the play. And they get that call, and then their offensive lineman sticks out a leg. Jared Goff trips over it, and next thing you know, they're down in the red zone. Now, you think, like, okay, here they are. They're handing the Lions this. They're going to win. They're going to take it down to Week 18. It's going to be winning in for the NFC North with the Lions. And then all of a sudden, the refs changed it up, and they started to hand the ball back, the game back to the Steelers. The touchdown overturned from the Sun God, then the false start to push them back, and then, of course, that final play with an offensive pass interference call that ruled out a lateral touchdown that Jared Goff picked up and ran in with no whistle blown.
This is the problem, because you can only review certain things. It's not like we, because if it gets to that point, we're going to end up like baseball, where like games take 4 or 5 hours to go. Where we can't stop and review everything, and unfortunately, this is what we have to live with. My issue is, they always talk about New York being, the eye and everything. Well, if that's the case, then why can't you have some guy or 2 or 3 people in New York looking at this, and if they see something and they're like, nope, you're wrong, boop, 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 real quick, nope, you're wrong, this is it, move on. But it seems like New York only, puts their nose in something when it's convenient.
Well, and it's crazy that that's not the operating procedure, because you would have to assume that someone in New York is watching those plays anyway.
Yeah,
so it's almost like a chain of command situation. Why can't they actually buzz and take command over the play?
Yeah.
Call.
Like, I guess you don't want them buzzing every little thing, but if a call is made, they can say, okay, well, nope, you're right, nope, you're wrong, we're going to overturn that, yada, yada, yada. They do this in the XFL. When you see Dean Blandino sitting there in his quarter zip watching stuff, and they let you watch this happen. If the XFL can do it, I don't understand how the quadruple billionaire NFL that rules sports world can't do it.
Yeah.
So it sucks, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, what it came down to is the Lions put themselves in a hole early and tried to scrape back into it. Now they have the offense to do it, but their defense just couldn't keep up.
Who do you think got burned more by the calls at the end? The Steelers to even put the Lions in a position to win it at the end, or the Lions for actually getting it taken away from them?
Well, see, here's the thing. The Lions had a touchdown, but Tesla got two hands, like jumped up, had two hands on the ball, couldn't make the catch.
Drop that. Yeah.
So if he makes that catch, this is a mute point this is a mute point we're having. We're not having this conversation. We could, but it doesn't have a real sticking point. So
yeah.
Honestly, there's calls every game that you sit there and you go, what the hell was that? What like we're conditioned to that. I don't think it was enough where I'm like, wow, they robbed the Lions, or wow, the Steelers got lucky. They were trying to steal it from them. No, I think at the end of the day, the Lions dug themselves a hole. I think now more than ever, you have to look at this team, and I think they believe their own hype. And offensively, they can pack a punch. Defensively, every year they're hurt. There's this, there's that. There's a problem. They got to figure it out. But no, I'm not. The way the game ended is the way the game ended. I don't have a horrible problem with it. Just Tesla catch the ball. And then Sun God don't go running into, a defender like that, and you don't get the call.
Yeah, picks are a thing. So championship window closed. They're not technically eliminated, but it's going to be very, very hard. They're going to really need Jordan Love to not play again. The Packers will fall apart.
I don't think they have it. I think offensively, yeah, they can put points on the board. I'm not gonna take that away from them. But defensively, they're too beat up. I just don't think they have it. I don't think they could. If you're telling me they're going to go toe to toe with the Rams, I don't know. I don't think so. So right now, they may make the playoffs, but I don't see them really being a player. I could see them being a one and done kind of deal.
Yeah, and at that point, then we're really having the championship window closed discussion in full.
Yeah, because you've got to look at the NFC as a whole. There's going to be about 5 or 6 teams easy that are probably going to be back in this conversation playoff wise next year. The NFC is going to be highly competitive. The Bears have come out of nowhere. You're going to have other teams that are going to do that. So they had their couple years. Yeah, well, yeah, until Sam gets into the playoffs and we know how that works out. But hey, could be wrong. But you know what? They're going to be a player. And if the NFC North comes back to full power, you don't know.
Well, another team that's a player, as much as it pains me to even utter these words, is Duval.
I was shocked. This was wow. I was like, wow, I guess they are for real.
It was, the final score was a 2-touchdown margin of victory, and it honestly should have been worse because the Broncos had a couple garbage scores at the end there.
Yeah, I'm impressed. I'm impressed. Now the thing is this the best we're gonna get? And then once the playoffs start, they're gonna go out with a whimper, and it's gonna be like, wow, what a tease, So this is. I've got to give Liam Cohen credit. He's worked magic with Trevor Lawrence. This is the guy who Trevor needed, and the offense is legit, and the defense is solid. They don't have to be a top 10 defense. If they can be a top 15 defense and have this type of offense, they can make noise in the playoffs. So you've got to give them their respect.
Yeah, Trevor's coming off of a 6 total touchdown performance, and then he has 4 total touchdowns in this one. So he's very much on fire. And this is a guy that when he was drafted, he didn't even show up to the draft. He was the consensus number 1 pick. We were really wondering if this kid even cared about football enough to be a franchise quarterback, and here he is.
Yeah, it was a situation where we're like, he's got the tools, but does he really want it? Or is he going to be that guy who's mid-level? If you want to name your top 15 quarterbacks, he maybe just makes it in, maybe sits on the outside. It's like he's not horrible, but if I got a game on the line, I'm not picking him to win it for me. Now those conversations are changing, and as long as he sticks with within the system there, they're going to do some good things. They could be a dark horse candidate in the AFC for sure.
How much of a black eye is this loss for the Broncos right now? Because they went from really controlling home field in the AFC to now being in a 3-horse race.
You know what? Sometimes you just got to take a whooping. You know, and I don't know if Denver's really taken one this year, like a real like something like this where like the team comes in there and basically handles their business and their defense looks average. So I think sometimes this has got to happen to you so you can kind of kick back and kind of get yourself refocused. I don't think it's a black eye because it's not like they have to worry about the Chiefs or anything else. Like they basically still control their destiny. They're far enough in that division where I think they're still going to win it. It's just the number one seed is the bigger question. Can they do enough to protect it? Because right now, like you said, it's a three-horse race, and from after tonight, depending how this game ends, we're going to see how this stacks up. And going forward, you might have to win out to keep that number one spot. If not, you've got enough talent that if you got to go on the road, you got to go on the road.
Well, and and that's a strangely very plausible scenario because we had pretty much written off this division as the Broncos to win and the Chargers settled into the wild card spot. But the Chargers already beat the Broncos and they play each other in the final week of the year. So they could very much be on the road in the first round.
They could, but the situation is do you trust the Chargers?
I don't, but they also have a semi-favorable schedule. They've got the Texans next week. The Texans are good, but they get them at home.
Yeah, but that Texans defense it's not like it's middle of the road. It's probably the best defense in the league, and we know how the Chargers play. They're either in it or they're not. And if they can get to Herbie, it's gonna be a long day. So, when it comes to the Chargers, unless you're telling me it's like the Jets or something like that, okay, yeah, I can feel confident saying that. But like if it's Houston or a team that's legitimate, I have to sit there and say, well, hopefully they don't screw the pooch because they'll have those pockets of greatness in that game, and then they'll have a pivotal couple get plays, and it's like, yep, it's the Chargers. Here we go.
Any concern with the Broncos defense, or just chalk it up to Jaguars offense that's very much on fire?
Yeah, I just think they had a rough game. I think every great defense has a game or two where you're like, damn, we just didn't have it today. And it happens. So I'm not worried about it. Now, if it happens the next couple games, then it's like, okay, what's going on? But for right now, you give the Jags their due and you move on.
Speaking of giving teams their due, Bucks McGee, what happened today? Why does Bryce Young have another game where he just looks like a real professional quarterback?
Todd Bowles, there's your answer. I don't know what more you want.
It's always Todd Bowles. It's always Todd Bowles.
He's the defensive guru. No, I give Carolina their due. They play, they put the game on Bryce's arm and he delivered because they couldn't run the ball. And everyone was saying that for Carolina to have a chance in this game, they were going to have to run the ball. Tampa was able to stop the run for the most part, but they gave up some long plays in the passing game, and that's what did it. And the fact that I guess the Bucs wanted to run the ball 30 plus times in this game. They felt that was going to be key for them. Yeah, they ran it a ton, but that did them no good when they could have passed on this team and actually had a full offensive output. But again, they played beneath the competition, and now they're going to have to win out and hope that Carolina either loses to Seattle next week or in Tampa to finish the season.
It's not the first time you've brought up the chunk plays that doom Tampa Bay. You brought it up with the Patriots when Travion Henderson busted off a few long ones. So is this a big enough problem that it's something tangible that needs to be addressed in the off season? If the Bucs are doomed by these these large gains in yardage.
This is what it comes down to. You don't have a pass rush. You bring back Jason Pierre-Paul, 36 years old, to help with your pass rush. Yeah, okay. He played some. I think he had like 2 tackles or something. All right. You had 2 sacks today, but there wasn't consistent pressure on the quarterback. Doesn't matter who's behind center. If you're not getting consistent pressure, they're going to chew you up. That's been a problem the last couple of years with this team. And then, when you're not getting that push, quarterbacks are going to be able to do what they do. Jamel Dean gets burned for a touchdown. There were a couple other chunk plays. So that's what happened. And then your offense isn't really pushing the ball. You're content running the ball 30 times for whatever reason. I don't know why 30 is the magic number. And so this is what happens. So now, everyone's looking at each other like, what the hell? You've got all these weapons. You've had them for about 2 weeks now fully. Start slinging it, because right now you have no choice. Cade Otton can't block himself out of a wet paper bag. That he's like he was horrible today. He was absolutely horrible today.
You used to like him so much.
Because I thought offensively he can catch the ball. He's a solid receiving tight end. But if you're looking for blocking, he can't do it. He can't do it. There were a number of blocks he missed. Luke Gedeke was a one-man flag show. I've never seen a freaking tackle get 4 straight. Literally, it felt like 4 straight, false starts. He was a mess. So it was a mix of, shooting themselves in the foot. Defense was a mess on chunk plays, and just Carolina taking advantage. Got to give them credit.
I mean, you're very much set up for that final week being a winner playoffs, loser goes home, because the Bucs play Miami next week, who is benched. Quinn Ewers looked terrible against an awful Cincinnati defense. The Bengals, of course, have nothing left to play for. And Carolina, of course, has to play the Seahawks, who very much are, based off the win on Thursday, are trying desperately to hold on to that number 1 pick. Ironically enough, because they don't exactly play well at home. But they don't have anything clinched off, and they could wind up back in the wild card spot.
Yeah, that's the only saving grace for Tampa, because I'll tell you this: if Seattle had it all locked up already,
they'd be benching.
Milrose would be starting at quarterback for them, and that's facts. So yeah, there's a silver lining in it, but basically it's you win the next 2, or you're sitting home for the playoffs, and it's going to be a long off season of what shoulda, coulda, woulda, and then the talks. I'm going to assume that the seats going to start to get hot for Todd Bowles, because if this happens again next year, who knows? Maybe John Gruden makes a return. Never know.
It's still
go ahead.
Is it still ride or die with Baker in these 2, or do you think the holes elsewhere are too much for Baker to overcome?
No, I think the interception he threw, that was just miscommunication, but it's also one of those things where when you see Baker break out of the pocket, you're assuming he's just going to run. And when Baker's just stopped and threw that ball, Mike went into scramble mode. Not the time, this is literally probably one of the first times where, like, this year you've seen this happen. So no, Baker's great for this team. It's just the defense. The defense has been the issue. With all of these weapons, if they can put up 27, 28 points, they'd be all right. The defense is the issue, and just the overall play calling.
Hello, Giovanni. Thank you for joining us. He's got a win against the Dolphins and the Panthers.
Yeah, I don't know if that, or I just got a bottle of Jack. I don't know. There'll be something. I'll be winning something, one or the other.
Oh, what are you sipping on in that canister, Bucks McGee? Something to help with the optimism here.
This is coffee. I was dry today. I shouldn't have went that route, but I went dry today. Next week will not, because I'll tell you this: he lose to the Dolphins, all hell breaks loose in this house. I tell you that right now. Right now.
It all gets packed up and goes the way of the Patriots merchandise of years past.
This is gonna get packed up and put in a storage unit for the next 6-7 months, and then I'll bring it back out piece by piece. No, I'll leave it up. I'll just do a background. I'll just put up my Batman stuff or whatever, dude. It'll be all right.
Every piece of memorabilia deserves one win to come back on the wall.
That's it. That's right. You got to earn your way on my wall. That's it. You got to earn the wall. But it is what it is. We'll see what happens. But yeah, Tampa doesn't do it easy. That's for sure.
No.
No.
Well, Bucks McGee, it's time for our favorite game every week to play.
Extra point. Extra point. Yeah.
And we'll title this one a subject of one of our favorite gifs and memes out there. What are you doing? Huh, me? Nothing. Just hanging around.
I'm doing my part. I
didn't do effing shit. Three teams that are kind of still hanging around at various different capacities in their wild card and potential division races. And we start off with one of our favorite teams to kick around, who's fighting off the distinction of retaking their rightful place in the penthouse, and that's the Buffalo Bills. They had a tough one in the dog pound. They still came out with the W, but depending on what's going on with the Patriots down the rest of the way, the Bills in theory could back their way into the division once again.
Buffalo survived today. I'll give them credit. I honestly, at some point in this game, I was like, uh-oh. I was like, is Shador going to lead these Browns to victory? But, at the end of the day, the Browns do what the Browns do. And I don't know how you end up like fourth and like 27 on your 1 yard line or whatever there at the end of the game, but it's the Browns. They figure new and exciting ways to hurt their fan base.
Every week.
Buffalo should, name the new stadium after James Cook, because without James Cook today, that team isn't winning anything. They're fighting. I'll give them credit, but I don't, unless they really start to show something in the next couple weeks. They may get into the playoffs, but I'm not expecting much.
Yeah, I mean, Josh has been amazing this year. He's got darn near 20 rushing touchdowns. But I think, to your point, this season is very much attributed to the success of James Cook. When he goes off, they're darn near unbeatable. And when he is bottled up, Josh, as great as he is just not enough for this team to win most games.
No, not at all. When you're counting on your quarterback to get you 20 plus rushing touchdowns, there's an issue here. Like, it really is. Like, yeah, when James Cook is on fire, they're tough to beat, because at that point it's like, okay, so do we focus on Cook, or do we think Josh is going to start doing his thing? So at that point, the defense has to account for both. When you can bottle up Cook, like you said, and you force Josh to do his thing, if you can stop that, it's all good. But Josh has been incredible, like you've said, but you can't. That's not a formula to win a Super Bowl. It's just not. The wide receiver room is a hot mess. Tight ends are at best adequate. The defense they're going to have to overhaul some spots. They make the playoffs, they're going to limp in, and they may just limp out.
Well, and like you said, receiver room, it says a lot, the fact that Josh has as many rushing yards and touchdowns as he does, and the team does have a running game. Normally, quarterbacks do that when the team does not have a running game.
Yeah, so it's almost like they're going with literally a two running back system. It's like you have two running backs, and just one handles the ball more than the other.
Yeah.
But you got to be able to throw the ball. You've got to have some consistent pass offense, because if not, once you get to the playoffs, if it's like Houston's going to eat that. Like,
Yeah,
are
and
you
they already
serious?
did once. They already did once.
Yeah. So if you somehow make the playoffs and Houston makes it or whatever, it's not going to be pretty. You've got to figure out some kind of pass offense, whether it's quick passes. Yeah, you could end up having a pass offense like freaking Carolina, but at least, Bryce Young's throwing for, 200 yards a game and it's looking like a semblance, but
Yeah.
it's run first and then you work off the run. It just seems like they have the run and they have the run. Like I don't like when they work off the pass off the run, it seems like it's just so infrequent.
On the note of those Texans, I mean, I don't like to see the Texans do well, but they don't quite make my blood boil so much as the Jaguars. Uh, and as much as we've fawned over their defense this year, very much kept them in the mix despite all their injuries on offense and CJ Stroud missing time and taking a while to get back to a respectable level. Their
Mm-hmm.
defense kind of was made to look a little silly this week with Ashton Genty going off and nearly pulling the Raiders to an upset win. But the Texans survive, and here they are. Not only now, I mean, the Jags keep doing what they're doing. The division may be a little out of reach. But depending on what the Colts do on Monday night, it could be a dogfight for that last wild card spot.
Yeah, at the end of the day, Houston's going to hang the hat on their defense. Like they've got Nico Collins and some other guys, but they're going to go as far as this defense can take them. Like, let's just be realistic. The defense is going to lead them. So yeah, whatever happens Monday is going to really set the tone for the rest of this run. The Texans a few years ago were like the darling. Like we were like ready to anoint them the new AFC like darlings. They were going to they were going to knock the Chiefs off the pedestal, and we were like, here we go. Stroud goes through his ups and downs, and now he's slowly kind of coming back. They've had injuries at the running back position, wide receiver still, but I think this at best, if this offense can put up 20, 21 points a game, their defense will do enough to keep them in games.
Yeah, and the injuries to the offensive weapons have really been atrocious this year. And Joe Mixon was supposed to be a huge boon for them a couple of years ago, and the man hasn't even touched the field this season. Nico Collins misses time every single year, so we can dump on CJ, but it's also a question of CJ
Yeah.
not being able to throw to anybody. And their offensive line was a mess for half the season.
Yeah. Don't forget, remember Tank Bell?
Oh yes.
Remember
that was a little dusty up there.
He's still getting over that leg injury. Like, him and Nico were running the show. So they're trying to figure out what this offense is gonna be. They've got Dalton Schultz, he's a quality tight end. But yeah, this is an offense that can't make mistakes. If they can if they can run the ball and manufacture points, enough points that their defense can mask their issues, then that's what they're going to do. But this is also a team, it's kind of like a wounded animal in a way. You don't want to mess with it because at least for one game they can surprise you.
Yeah, and they've got weapons like Xavier Hutchinson and Jaden Higgins who are very, very talented, but this team's also very slow to develop talent. So the gems are there. The gems are there, but they're not blowing up yet.
No, these guys are going to take a little bit of time to do that. But right now, like I said, they hang the hat on the defense, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. And our final hanging around, a point we touched on earlier with the Chargers. The Broncos losing today, the Chargers having one up on the Broncos and playing them to close out the season. They smoked the Cowboys this week. The Cowboys don't have anything to play for. Their defense has kind of fallen back into that sieve mode. So I guess we'll take a deeper dive here on the Chargers. We don't trust them, but they are getting into a point where they're starting to look a little bit more reliable than they did over the course of the season.
They can score points, and their defense at times is really good. But the question is can they do it consistently? Can the offense and the defense be at the same game at the same time? If they can do that, then yeah, they can be dangerous. But yeah, until you can see it consistently, you're always going to have that thought of, oh man, here we go. When you start to see things not click, and next thing you know, they're down 2 or 3 scores, and you're like, well, what happened here? What's going on? They've got the talent. They just have to put it together. There's never been a question of the talent. It's just whether they can put it together. So maybe this is the year they take another step forward. I don't know if they have enough to break through, and we're going to see them in February. But if they can put some things together, they could be a tough out.
No, I think for true believability, we need to see them have a huge performance next Saturday against Houston, because that would make the wild card picture that much more interesting for the Texans, and a loss for the Chargers probably wouldn't put them out of the picture in the division, but it would require the Broncos to lose to the Chiefs, which I just don't see that as a potential likely outcome.
No, not with Uncle Rico now out with a ACL tear. So
yeah.
I don't even know who the third quarterback is in Kansas City. I saw him playing. I'm like, who is this dude?
Atu Khan.
Atu not very good. I'll tell you, Atu not very good, man. And not to digress.
Beat up on the Atu men.
Yeah, because that's what it was like. Not to digress a little bit, man, but the Chiefs' offensive line on the sideline, those weren't some happy dudes. I've never seen them bicker like they did today. So yeah, the Chargers have the pieces. They just got to put it together and be consistent. Like I said, it's never been a question of talent. It's been consistency. So unless, if all of a sudden they get magical and they go on some run, could be a shot they're there in February. But the word is consistency.
We're going to have a very fun time handicapping the playoffs and trying to find the one team that we both agree enough to trust.
Seriously, man, because right now, I guess in the NFC, it's the Rams. If you have to pick one team from each where you're confident, where you could say, yep, I can see them in February, I'd say the Rams.
I take the Rams, and I don't know who I take in the AFC.
I don't know.
Is it sad to say the most trusted team is the Steelers? That's pathetic.
It's it's like that car that it's like your first car. It's not the greatest looking thing, and you went to AutoZone and bought the hubcaps that clip on because you couldn't afford rims because you were still working your first part-time job, so you're buying those $20 clip-on rims and you're driving it and you think you're cool, and that car is going to get you to A and B for 10 years, and you look back at it, you're like, wow, that was the most reliable thing in my life. That's what the Steelers are. That's what the Steelers are.
Steelers and Rams Super Bowl. Here we go.
Oh, good Lord. I swear to you. I swear. I'll be drunk before the national anthem. I can handle that. That's going to be a rough one.
Yes, indeed. Programming note, Sunday Scaries faithful. Normally, we would go live on Christmas. We're not afraid of doing lives on the holidays, but let's face it, half the teams playing on Christmas are starting third-string quarterbacks. These are not very sexy matchups, so we will be doing our pregame show on Saturday instead, following Houston Chargers and Ravens and Packers, two games that obviously have a bit more juice to them than those 3 Christmas Day matchups.
Teams that are actually in the playoff hunt. Let's just call it what it is, man.
Yes, I'm sorry. Let me not put lipstick on a pig here.
Exactly.
Bucks McGee, sir, take us off air with your final thoughts as we put a fork in Week 16.
Interesting week. Got to give teams their due that we normally don't. Steelers, Jags, great job. You guys are doing what you need to do. Lions and Tampa. It's getting dark. It's getting dim. There's still some hope, but it's getting dark. And Cleveland, I'm sorry, man. Shador, we're there for you. Hopefully next year is better, but you live on to play another week.